Hello, my name is Doug Leasure, and I want to thank you for joining me again for another in the training in a series of videos providing training for Active Planner. And today we want to cover the update balance routine. And so just to review what we've been working on in our training so far, we've created a plan tree that represents a few different departments. Within the departments, we have a variety of locations. If we take a look at one of the detail sheets, we can see that this is where we have created a detailed budget. We brought in a prior year actual, and from that we were computing the current year budget. And for every one of those budget rows, we set the type to budget to indicate that the values on this row will be used then for creating the budget. And so within Active Planner, the function or the feature of taking the values then from these rows marked with type budget and pushing those back to the general ledger, that whole process is called the update balances. Okay, so within our detail plan sheets for each of the department locations, we have a variety of accounts, and the appropriate rows based on those accounts are marked as type budget. And again, they're based on the prior year actuals, and we're just doing some simple math to compute the current year budget from that. Within our plan tree, we also have some of these summary level sheets, which would aggregate or summarize all of the department's locations together into one total number. And there we brought in the prior year actual as well as the current year budget for the various accounts. Okay, and we have an overall total of all of the departments reflected here. And so I guess what I wanted to point out is the concept that within the tree, some of the plan sheets will be the detail plan sheets where those rows have been marked as type budget. Other plan sheets may very well be just summary level or other types of sheets that aren't computing the budget. Therefore, we have not marked any of the rows in those plan sheets as type budget. So even though there's a mixture throughout the entire tree, I just wanted to point out that this is a typical methodology for having our tree-like structure, a mixture of some things that are some sheets that have the budget details in them, and others that don't. Okay, so when we do the update balance, one of the things that we're going to be asked for would be to pick the appropriate balance code. And let's go here within the Active Planner, the open integration. Here we can look at the balance code setup. And I can see that we have just one balance code defined so far. Now, if you're using the Sage MAS500 version of Active Planner, or the Epicor Enterprise version, in both of those cases, the list that you see here is a direct reflection of the balance codes created inside of the general ledger. With the open integration, we create them here using the balance code maintenance here. And so if we want to add another balance code, so that in addition to the plan balance code, let's say we want to have a forecast balance code, and that would give us the ability to upload multiple times. Perhaps the first time, as we begin the budgeting for the new fiscal year, we might upload or update those balances into the balance code called plan, and then perhaps as we're doing a forecast or a reforecast throughout the year, we might want to upload or update those balances into the balance code called forecast. And that just allows us to maintain then the original budget, as well as a place to house the forecast budget. We can create as many balance codes as we want. But let me just create a couple here, and then we'll save it. Okay. And now, if we take a look at one of the plan sheets again, I just wanted to show you that we do have the option using the sheet update balance option. We do have the option to update the balances one sheet at a time. But that's not how we typically do it. Typically we do the entire tree, so let me show you that methodology. And so we would be using a plan function, which means I can initiate the update balance for a single branch, perhaps doing all the plan sheets for a single department, a single division, depending on how your tree is set up. Or I can also do it for the entire tree-like structure by coming here to the top level. Either way, I would right-click and choose the Update Balance option. And that brings up this little dialog box. The first thing we're asked to do is to choose a primary sheet. That is, pick one of my detail sheets as a sample. And once we do that, then it brings up the next dialog box where we're going to say that the balances we're updating are the budget balances. And then the next thing is to pick the balance code that we want to update. And so we see that we have two options available here, the forecast or the plan. Okay, and in your environment you might have additional balance codes to choose from. So we'll choose one of the balance codes. And then the next thing we want to do is to tell it which group of columns contain the budget values that we want to upload. We can name our columns anything we want to, so it is necessary for us to tell Active Planner at this point which column, which set of columns. So we're picking a column group, and which one contains the budget values that we want to upload or update at this time. So we'll pick the budget group because those are the columns that contain the budget for 2011. And once we do that, you can see that it has selected all of the columns within that group, and we can see what they are. We can see the period dates associated with them. We can see that the valuation is net change. And note down here that if one of the columns was marked as a beginning balance column, then those values would be added to period one's net change amounts. And just so you know, rarely, but it is possible to pick and choose which columns you want to upload, such that if you're only doing a partial year, then you can pick only a few of the columns. Again, that's rare, but it does happen occasionally, so I just wanted to point that out. Okay, once I've selected told Active Planner that we're doing the budget balance, that's what we're updating. We picked a plan, a budget code, a balance code, and then we also picked the group. We click OK, and then we always get this message saying the budget information already exists. We'll say yes. And now we're back to this form. Okay, on this form we get to tell Active Planner which plan sheets we want to use for the update balance routine. And typically we select all because Active Planner is able to, as it opens the sheet and looks inside of it, to say, hey, none of the rows here have been marked with type budget, therefore it effectively ignores those sheets. So it's usually a safe thing to go ahead and select all the sheets. But you're welcome to pick and choose if that is appropriate. And then once we've marked the sheets that we want to use for the update balance routine, we just simply click the Run button. And then the report here, it shows as it goes through opening each plan sheet, and then it does a little report for each plan sheet telling us how many rows were processed, meaning how many of the rows were marked as type balance, and then it updated those balances. And I do want to point out that as we look at the report, it says total process, meaning the number of rows processed, and then total exceptions. And so the idea of an exception would be we marked the row as a type balance, and yet the account number, because you can only update balances based on account number, the account number was not found in our general ledger. That would be an exception, and we would see the account numbers that did not match actually listed here on the sheet on this report, as well as an indication as to how many exceptions there were. Okay, so again, we are in the open integration, and with the open integration, the update balance routine takes the budget balances from all the plan sheets where the rows were marked as type budget, and it puts it here in the resulting balance folder. Now, if you're using, again, the Sage MAS500 or the Epicor Enterprise version, those two products actually push the budget balances all the way back into the general ledger, into the balance tables there. And so that's where the budget balance would reside. In the open integration, they come here into the resulting balances, and we can see that there is an entry here that saying that we have a balance type of budget, and the balance code that we chose was plan. And we can also see the fiscal year that we uploaded. And so the whole idea of the resulting balances in the open integration is that the values are placed here, and then when we are done with the budget cycle and everything has been approved, because a lot of times that's an iterative process, we have to go back and adjust the balances multiple times. Once everything is completed and approved, then we would take the values out of this resulting balances and push it back to the general ledger. All right, let me just take a quick second and show you that if we open up the entry here in the resulting balance, we can see that our balance type is 1, and again that it's a budget balance, the plan code that we chose, the account numbers, and the period end dates for each row. We can see the net change amount as well as the ending balance. And so the information that we uploaded is stored here and in this table, but we can also review the values here. Okay, just so you know that if we needed to perhaps delete the balance code here for the entire budget for our fiscal 2011, we can easily delete it here, and that would delete the entire entry. And then we can go back, of course, and rerun the update balance from the plan tree as we did before. Okay, well, those are the things I wanted to cover regarding the update balance. In the next session, we'll go ahead and take a look at using the balance information and then creating an export script to push that back to the general ledger data. All right, look forward to joining you on the next training session, and thank you.